And welcome everybody to another edition of Canada Business Talks. I'm your host, Shiraz Sadiq, and today, with this up-close and personal interaction, we'll be spending time with Darian Kovacs. Now, there's so much to him, beginning with his heritage that we want to definitely celebrate. And in acknowledgement of his heritage and the fact that we all get to share and work on this land that we call Canada and our home, we'd like to acknowledge the land on which we gather, on which the region of Peel operates. It is a part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous people have inhabited and cared for this land and continue to do so today. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe and Chippewa peoples. This land is the home to the Métis and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land and by doing so, give our respects to its first inhabitants. And today, we're here to elevate your approach to business with Canadian business leaders through the Canada Business Talk series powered by Canadian SME. Now, today's episode is brought to you by our exclusive banking partner, RBC, and you'll be able to hear from Paul shortly, our exclusive shipping partner, UPS, and our exclusive accounting software partner, Xero. Today's event is brought to you by Canadian SME Small Business Magazine. My name is Shiraz Sadiq, your media host and consulting editor for Canadian SME Business Magazine. And today's episode with Darian Kovacs, he is an Indigenous founder. But now here's the thing, folks. Is it just, do we have him on because he's Indigenous? No, it's because he's brilliant and has so much value to offer us through all the work that he's done developing his PR and digital marketing firm, Jelly. Now, it moved from jam to jelly, and we're going to hear all about that later on in our conversation. But he brings 15 years of marketing experience and a passion for education and creativity. He is the host of the TV show Marketing News Canada, found on Amazon Prime in the US and in UK, and that, of course, is called Marketing Jam. I think he has a penchant for sticky, fruity substances. But again, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. He specializes in mixing PR with digital marketing and has worked with numerous internationally renowned brands on developing and executing their digital marketing and PR strategies. Now, as mentioned, my name is Shiraz Sadiq. I am the media host and consulting editor for Canadian SME Business Magazine. We host a number of podcasts, one of which is Small Business Talks. Have a look, see if there's a place for you that you can be featured and we can celebrate your story as well. This event wouldn't be possible, again, without our exclusive partners, beginning with UPS. Now, UPS brings us the small business of the day. our exclusive banking partner, RBC, and our exclusive accounting software partner, Xero. We're incredibly honored by their generosity and their continued partnership as we bring great stories to the Canadian marketplace.
Grit and drive. That's what pushes you forward. You don't come as far as this, dreaming and believing. You fail hard. You learn strong. You keep going on. You don't aim to survive. You're here to thrive. And we're here to help. Be bold. Be brave. Be unstoppable.
Now, folks, if you want your business featured on Small Business of the Day brought to you by UPS, reach out to us at CanadianSME.com. And now we'd like to introduce Erica Porras Gutierrez. And Erica, my apologies. I kind of knew that I would mess up your name. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, you're fine.
Can you tell us what you do at Xero? And again, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, yeah. So my name is Erica Porras Gutierrez, and I'm a platform engineer at Xero. So Xero is an accounting software company for small businesses, and we help 3.5 million global subscribers get connected to their business numbers from any device as long as it has internet. And what I specifically do at Xero, I am one of the leaders for Xero's Indigenous ERG. So our ERG journey began with just a small team of 3 people, Derek Villanueva and Faye Pang, who is our Canada country manager, as our corporate sponsor. And in the 2 years that the ERG has existed, we've expanded from a team of 3 to a team of 6 people with members all over the Americas, both in Canada and the US. The Indigenous ERG is focused on learning, community, and having positive outcomes for both Xero and our partners in how we hire and interact with Indigenous communities. As an ERG, we've held a lot of events for our members, including talks about being two-spirit and gender, sustainability and Indigenous fashion, and mental health awareness and focus on Indigenous nonprofits. We've celebrated Indigenous History Month, and we've also commemorated Truth and Reconciliation Day. And moving forward, we just hope to continue to celebrate and learn about Indigenous culture, as well as celebrate our Indigenous partners. And we hope to continue any partnerships we have with CCAB by continuing to participate in things like the Progressive Aboriginal Relations Program. So excited to be here with you today and so grateful. And we look forward to hearing more from Darian Kovacs on what he's doing as part of Jelly Digital Marketing and the digital marketing course, Jelly Academy.
That is fantastic. Thank you, Erica. Now, I got to hang out with Faye Pang and Chris O'Neill at XeroCon in New Orleans. Xero comes with so much passion. Why do you continue to work at Xero? What's so meaningful about the work you do?
That's such a really good question. I guess I really feel driven by our mission. I love seeing small businesses accomplish what they set out to do. And I really love that in all our interactions, we really come as like a community, not just a business, and that we focus on who our business partners are, not just what they do. And so I feel like that really inspires me.
That is fantastic. Again, Erica from Xero, thank you for joining us today. And now, folks, I'd like to introduce Paul Camara. He's the manager of business markets for the Fraser Valley at Royal Bank. He's responsible for leading a team of small business advisors across the entire region and managing over 2,200 client relationships. Paul joined Royal Bank in October of 2010 and spent the first 5 years of his career in personal banking before joining the business markets team as a business account manager in July of 2015. In November 2018, he joined the commercial banking of the public sector not-for-profit team as a commercial account manager. Look, folks, he's done it all, and that's why we're excited about why he's here. But he's got to tell us about why I'm supposed to describe him as an avid runner. Paul, welcome.
Thanks, Ross. I appreciate it. And so happy to be here. I'm an avid runner. I love trail running and road running as well, and just getting out and being one with nature. I really love getting out there and taking my headspace to a different place when I get out running.
That is fantastic. And why is partnering with Canadian SME to put on an event like today with Darian so important to the work that you do and to RBC?
Well, I just think that working with small businesses in a challenging operating environment and hearing from successful stories like Darian, it's what it's all about, and helping everyone, as businesses and entrepreneurs to thrive in any environment. And so, I'm really excited to hear Darian's story.
Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to share with us, Paul?
Absolutely. So, just in terms of being here on behalf of RBC, I want to welcome you to Business Talks hosted by Canadian SME Magazine amidst unpredictable world events, evolving economic conditions and health measures. It's safe to say that small business owners are operating in a world where change is the only constant.
Mm-hmm.
As you navigate entrepreneurship in this very different world we live in, we know that it's critically important to hear about different perspectives, stories, and resources and tips to help you survive and thrive. RBC's continued commitment to supporting the Canada Business Talk series feels that much more important and purposeful today. We were thrilled to see Canadian SME Magazine take the lead in bringing thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and our co-sponsors, UPS and Xero, together to create this important forum. We hope that these engaging conversations will deliver great insights and inspirations to help you successfully navigate the future. For change always brings opportunity, the opportunity to learn, adapt, and create something new out of adversity. So it's my pleasure to welcome Darian Kovacs, founder of Jelly Digital Marketing and PR Agency. Darian is an Indigenous business leader with 15 years of experience in marketing, communications, and public relations. He founded the Jelly Digital Marketing and PR Agency in 2013, and since then, he has launched and hosted the podcast Marketing News Canada. In 2018, he and the team created Jelly Academy, a digital marketing school to teach new and existing business professionals about marketing and PR. The Jelly Academy offers scholarship opportunities for Indigenous in partnership with Best Buy, Black and people of color, as well as women who are interested in developing their skills and digital marketing. When requested, Jelly Academy provides cornerstone projects to help small businesses and charities to allow students to work on projects and get hands-on experience. Over the years, Jelly has been named the best employer for recent graduates, achieved B Corp status, and become Great Place to Work certified, as well as awarded B Corp Rookie of the Year, and recently placed as one of Canada's top growing companies. I'm looking forward to hearing how Darian's experience in digital marketing and his interest in helping Canadians thrive in the world of digital marketing have influenced his business vision and strategy. And once again, I'd like to thank Canadian SME Magazine, our co-sponsors, and all of you for joining us today for a program that uncovers and celebrates inspiring stories and the individuals like Darian Kovacs who make them real. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to you, Shiraz.
Thanks so much, Paul, for joining us today and for your ongoing support, RBC. Darian, that was quite the intro that Paul laid on all of us. So
I feel like it's only fair to say to Paul, I'm going to put you on the spot. RBC, I just got the email recently. Powwow Pitch, you are an amazing supporter of. Really, really has been so cool. We're both sponsors of the same organization, and so cool to see what you've been able to lend to that. And you just sent out an email to all of your amazing business folks letting them know about CDAP. So I just thought, yeah, you are actually a great, I call it friend, wise uncle, supporter of businesses when you come alongside them and are able to let them know about the CDAP program. And if people haven't heard, $4 billion got put into a pot by the feds. It takes about 25 to 30 minutes to apply for this fund to supercharge your business. So Paul, RBC, I can't thank you enough for all you're doing. And thank you for sponsoring this amazing organization too, Canadian SME.
Thanks very much, Darian.
As you can tell, we all love each other quite a bit. And you know what? It's always great when you meet like-minded people who are in it together to share a common goal for common good. But Darian, let's introduce the friend that you brought with you today, your beard.
Oh,
Can you tell us about where that beard came from and why you growing that out to here, buddy? What's going on with that beard? Love it.
I feel like it's a little more tame these days. I have had it larger. It has been bigger, but it's manageable. It's but it's winter is coming, so it's a nice kind of like a permanent scarf on my face.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Permanent scarf. I love that description. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you heard in his intro that Paul shared about Darian, he's been doing this for a long time. In my intro, I asked I was making something very clear. Darian, you're not here just because you have an Indigenous background. You're here because you bring the goods. You know what you're talking about. How often do you have to balance that line between, hey, I got in the room because of this, or because I'm really good at what I do?
Well, I am in an interesting boat in that I am being Métis. So those that maybe aren't aware or don't know, and this is a common thing. It's okay if you don't know, but there's like and I'm going to use branding and kind of marketing language. There's a parent brand called Indigenous, and Indigenous is the kind of overarching term representing all Indigenous people in Canada. And underneath Indigenous, there's sub brands, and so there's First Nations, there is Métis, and there's Inuit. So Inuit historically, have been called other things. So the Edmonton CFL team used to use a term for them that they no longer use. First Nations is probably the most prominent. So I still actually even get someone emailed me recently a few weeks ago and was like, hey, you should apply for this First Nations Business Award. And I was like, oh man, it wouldn't apply for me. I'm Métis. I'm not actually First Nations. So they're like, oh, sorry, we meant for all people Indigenous. And so I think we're all learning along the way. And so at being Métis, we are historically, we're called half-breeds. So I actually have birth certificates, scripts is what they're called, and kind of documentation showing that my family has been historically called half-breeds by the government. And so with that, we can come across as white passing. And people aren't aware. So in some cases, people don't know that I'm Indigenous, and then I show up and then it comes out and they're like, oh, I didn't know. And so, and in some cases they're aware, but I think more than ever, there's some incredible businesses out there that are Indigenous and are leading in so many ways because they're using their superpower as an Indigenous personality, history, being mentored by amazing elders, skills at storytelling. They're using those superpowers for good.
Thank you for sharing, and they're just staying on this topic here for a moment before we get into some business principles. June, what does June mean to you as far as and then we also get to wear orange on another day of the year, and to see the brilliance of it becoming a part of our calendric fabric, man, that's worth celebrating.
Yeah. And I think what I'm more excited about is like we get hired by brands, national brands, large corporations to be like, hey, help us figure out June. We want to understand it better. We want to figure it out. And there is a small part of me and that continues to kind of rally for this to say, is there not someone in your organization who is Indigenous that you could just talk to? Right. Wow. And so my hope is part of why we run Jelly Academy, part of why we have been so focused on getting Indigenous students into digital marketing, into the marketing realm, is because we'd love it where maybe a year from now, or maybe looking 5 years from now, at the water cooler, at the lunch area, on Slack, in Zoom, there's Indigenous people that they can rub shoulders with instead of needing to hire outside people to figure out June or figure out, Orange Shirt Day and what does that mean. But ideally, it's people who are beside them and with them, and they can eat bannock together and be like, here, try my bannock and see what it's like, or discover what an auntie is and how important they are in my life.
Through Jelly Academy, you get to mentor so many young up and coming, but you also, like you said, get to educate those who have been in business to say, hey, consider reaching out to your own organization and find your own representation within your own group. Now, it's great that you get to now mentor, but growing up in your development, who were some of the mentors that helped mold and shape you into what you have become today?
Yeah, there was a guy named Larry Nelson who was an accountant a nice silver-haired fox out here in Vancouver, and he was an amazing mentor for me. And actually, I told the story where I would meet with him sometimes at this place called Terminal City Club, and I was telling the guy who worked there. And so he actually sent me a gift card recently to be like, here, have another lunch with Larry. It's been a while. I don't get to see him as much. It's kind of, but he was very integral in the formative years between the ages of like 15 to 23. Like he was, we would see each other monthly. I'd say my own dad even like would just played a really interesting role in that he always like, he would jokingly, but in some ways it fed in where he'd call us like Super Darian or Super D, and my brother's Super J and Super T. And it's like, he really believed we could do anything and anything was possible. And he came over as a refugee from Hungary, right? He came over in 56 and started a business and learned English. And, so I think he kind of has always got that forward momentum of like, you can do this. And it's possible. And so that kind of really ingrained in me as a person.
So through that journey, let's go back then. Can you see some specific milestones that have stood out for you over the years where they were intended or unintended? They were just part of the joy and the journey that you developed and got on.
But I think I also grew up with a mom who was also very cautious and was very careful. Like was always, I went to university to study visual arts and painting and to be an artist. But then she was always like, you should do something practical at the same time. So I also did child and youth care. So I could be like an art and play therapist and do something practical with this art. So I've always kind of had a balance of like taking a part-time salary job when starting ventures on the side. But I'd say a big risk we took was we run an agency during the day where we, get hired to do the marketing for people. So when we launched our academy, the idea was we're essentially training people to replace us, to take work away from us, to not need us anymore. And so I think that risk on that was again scary, and the concern of other agencies being upset that we were training people to take away work from agencies. But I think overall, there's enough work to go around, first of all. And secondly, when these students are trained up and able to do the work really well, the whole reputation of our industry, whether it's SEO or digital ads or online marketing, raises and it raises the bar because we're training people to be high quality digital marketers instead of people just kind of like doing it as a hobby or doing it on the side or running it out of their basement.
So that's interesting. I asked you a question, which was, can you describe some of the milestones in the past 15 plus years of your development? And you went in a very different direction. One of your milestones that you mentioned was the influence of your mentors, your mom. So at milestones, you mentioned relationships. I think that's really neat and interesting. Then you also went to a place of development, where, hey, I had a plan. Right? Like, hey, I went to school for this, but I had my backup. So you talk about relationships as a milestone. You talk about having a plan as a milestone. Within the third element or milestone in answering the milestone question was taking risks. You can actually look back and measure the risks and, look back and say, hey, this was a turning point in my life and in my career.
Yeah, I think, whether starting the academy or even just starting Jelly, like we started it from scratch. And again, my dad, there wasn't deep, long family or personal connections in the area, right? That, he came over, they came over, we started from scratch when they moved here. And same thing with my mom. There wasn't these deep, long kind of business, kind of long connections, right? Just because of the, family and history of what went on with her family. And so, I think learning and going at it, I had to, and I see this amongst many Indigenous entrepreneurs is, you've got to be, feisty in a way. You've got to, have that kind of ability to push through, right? And be resilient and kind of able to build something from nothing. And in some ways you have to know that, hey, you won't have that uncle or that great aunt or that, dad's friend from high school that could help you with something. We're basically, in my situation, starting from scratch to be like, how do I build something from nothing?
And that's a part of what's changing now. A part of things that like what we're doing with the magazine and what other ventures that you're involved in is being a form or a spot for mentorship, when you don't have that traditional guidance in your life. Right. So that's one of the things that's exciting about what you do at the Jelly Academy, because that is a form of a guidance and mentorship if you don't have that. So can you talk a little bit about what it is formally? How do people get involved
Yeah, totally. And I'll just speak to the mentorship part. I run a podcast called Marketing News Canada, is to get those micro mentorship moments. So whether it's Malcolm Gladwell or Seth Godin or Guy Kawasaki, like Guy was, Steve Jobs' first marketing director, right? And we got to spend an hour together to learn about what it was like marketing Apple, to the co-founder of Netflix and what it was like to go to Blockbuster and be denied selling, your business to Blockbuster, and his mom's involvement. And so these micro mentorship moments really have had a big impact on my life and professional, personal development. And so we actually launched a book. It just got launched actually yesterday on Amazon called Marketing Mentors, first edition. So we took 100 of these micro mentoring moments and put them in a summary and put them in a book. Is available on Amazon.
Okay. Let's stop right here, because you're dropping that on me. I didn't even know that. So thank you.
No, I didn't know either till yesterday. Yeah, so it got published yesterday. So the publisher went live yesterday on Amazon. So
congratulations. Listen, folks, if you're watching right now, let's get that on. Look, to qualify to be a bestseller in the Canadian space, you need to sell 5,000 books. That's the number. And it's time framed in 7 days. So listen, we got 6 days left to get to $5,000 count. So, hey, RBC, Paul, if you're still listening, you guys are good for 1,000, right? Okay, RBC, I'm joking, but hey, folks, whatever it takes, let's get signed up. Sorry, what's the name of the book when you go to Amazon? What are people?
Marketing Mentors.
Marketing Mentors.
Yeah.
And if you just go to Amazon right now, you'll be able to enter that in and get your book. Hey, we got it, Darian, whatever it takes. We're going to partner with you to get you to 5,000 within 7 days, get you on the Canadian bestsellers. But congratulations for doing something like that. Now, it's interesting when you do a name drop. For example, I'm not saying that's what you did, but when you mentioned Guy Kawasaki, all right. And then you threw in a couple of other names in there that were kind of heavy hitters, right? Brand name that people would recognize. I think the power of what we're doing today is making sure that more people also know who Darian is and what Darian does. Can you describe some of the people that you have met in your journey that they might not be household names, but they made a huge impact on your journey? Now, I know you've mentioned your parents. Who else has just made a huge impact, but they're not necessarily household names?
Yeah, man, so many to name. I'd say anywhere from, people that I've had the chance, even who I work with now, people in my office that I get to work with who, work really, really hard and really emulate humility. I think that's one of the, greatest character traits, values in a human being of humility, and those that emulate it and practice it and carry it out. I think of all the people that serve and do things behind the scenes that you never hear about, right? And again, part of the book Marketing Mentors was there's a good handful of people in the book who are not founders of anything or CEOs but they are really, really good at what they do within the marketing realm. And so you get the chance to read a few pages, the summary of that moment, the marketing mentors, the nuggets from them, and hopefully learn something from it. And again, you could skip chapters and skip pages. There's 100 of them. So maybe there's 20 that have an impact on you. Sure. And that's the hope.
So what's really neat about this book is this collection of stories, right? And that's what we're here. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us on Canada Business Talks. We're here with Darian Kovacs. He's the founder of Jelly Academy, which helps so many young people and those who are mid-career develop the right skills and understanding of what it takes to grow in your field from a digital marketing perspective. Now, Darian, if we were to talk a little bit about, you mentioned humility. That's a characteristic, but you don't really you can't go to, I don't know, Laurier or Queens and take a course on on humility, right? Like they'll probably call it ethics. Character matters. And I remember a few months ago when people in this office at Canadian SME Small Business Magazine began to throw your name around. And I was like, hey, who's this Darian guy? Oh, you got to meet him. He's such a great guy. And they talked about your characteristics more than your competence. What role and what characteristics would you celebrate in developing your path and journey in business?
Oh, man. I would say, and I actually heard this from, it sounds, Denzel Washington said this. I heard this quote and I thought it was brilliant. It was like, he goes and puts his slippers away every morning. And it's kind of a strange thing, but when he described it, the reporter was like, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, I got to put them under my bed. And so I got to get down on my knees and remember, who's God and who's not, right? And it's this act of like,
Wow.
I am not the center. I am not God. I am not the controller of the universe. And so it's this nice reminder every day. I got to put my slippers away, right? It's such a good, like, I think of that sometimes because it's like, even throughout the day, sometimes we have to stop to put our slippers away and remember that, we are not in control. We can do the best we can every day and take responsibility and show up and give all that we can. But at the end of the day, we play a very small role in this very, very large universe. And so if we can try to play a good role and, bring some positiveness to it, then that's the hope, right? At the end of the day. So I don't know how that can be nurtured or grown. I hope it can be, kind of what I call marinated from other people as you rub off on other people and see it in others. That's the hope, and copied maybe.
So humility, is the word that you used earlier. Clearly what you're describing is a form of humility, just making sure that you recognize the size of the speck of dust we are in all the grains that are on beaches in Aruba, right? Like we really are that tiny in the bigger picture. We're really not that important, but what we do is important. How do you balance out the great work that you're doing, and your name more and more, especially over the past couple of years, is getting celebrated more and more because of the work that you do and your accomplishments? Your slippers that you're putting away on a daily basis. What do you do to keep yourself grounded? Now, Paul mentioned that he loves to run, right?
Yeah.
That's one of his things. That's so fantastic.
Cool. I want to know where he runs. I'm so curious. We're neighbors. Like I'm in Fort Langley, and so I'll run the Fort to Fort trail. I don't know if Paul's done that one. That's a great one. It's a nice little 7K run. I'll do sometimes.
Man, I just run up and down the aisles at the local grocery store.
Yeah,
I got to expand my band there a little bit. But what's your thing? What keeps you grounded? What do you do to just blow off some steam? What's your thing?
Well, one context, I have 4 children, so they're so they are very good at, they don't care, they don't care about the EBITDA, they don't care about, shareholders, whatever shareholders return, they care about none of that stuff. But, so that is, context in that itself. But then, like I do love to swim. So I'll swim, usually I'll just do like 40 lengths to a kilometer. There's a little local pool. It's got a beautiful steam room, sauna after. I like to watercolor quite a bit. And in the summer I grow dahlias. They're like this kind of firework flower. That's pretty awesome.
Okay. Now, a common thought that we hear is, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. Okay, let's stick with time for a moment. What you just described and parenting 4 kids, I don't think anybody really has an excuse after hearing Darian say he's raising 4 children and doing all these other things and has time for watercolors. How do you help people overcome that mental barrier in their own mind? I think fundamentally, most people are not as busy as they actually believe themselves to be. It's almost like they're hedging to make sure that they have this spare time on the side. How do you help people overcome that challenge of, hey, I don't have enough time? Well, you actually might.
Yeah, that's definitely not one of my strengths. I don't know what I would say to that. Whether it's, I feel like I wrestle with time management all the time. So I don't know what to say besides, the art of saying no to the good things to make room for the great things. So, practicing the art of saying no. I am horrible at it, though. I will say that first of all. So I feel like it'd be, hypocritical of me to say you just gotta say no all the time. But yeah, I've tried to say no and practice that where I can, but no, it's difficult. But I also try to carve out those moments to just have quiet and nothing and
okay,
moments of silence and solitude, whatever, whether it's even 2 minutes, 5 minutes, those moments really I find I can find source in life and kind of hope in those moments before kind of charging into a very full day.
Yeah, it's that concept of taking out 10 minutes of your day, meditate, reset, to Sabbath, whatever it is, to just press your reset button for your mind. I think that's fantastic. it really puts things back in perspective, doesn't it? When you're able to just
Oh,
press reset.
totally. Yeah. Like the art of Sabbath it's practiced by farmers everywhere around the world, where like, you give the soil moments to rest and
Yeah.
get refertilized and to get nutrients again. Right. And so if farmers are doing it, right, and like we as people can do it too, even with our weeks, right? Whether it's a day a week or whatever that looks like. Trying to practice Sabbath wherever and whenever I can. But
Yeah, and the art of Sabbath, I think it's every seventh year. They don't work the land. They literally let the land rest to rejuvenate and refresh. That's fantastic. Now, Darian, big, bold move. What's the most daring, risky thing that you did? Now, it could be business related. It could be that time you were in Jamaica and you jump off a cliff, or like wherever it was. What was the most that you would second guess yourself? Hey, should I tell my parents what I did? Like, what was it? The most riskiest thing you've done?
oh man, I haven't really done it. I'm not very risky. I'm quite risk averse. I don't really like scary things. I don't like jumping off things. I know I'm like maybe more of a scaredy cat, to be honest. I haven't really done anything too crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, this is
yeah,
Darian Kovacs, by the way, who
yeah.
is launch Jelly Academy. That wasn't scary. See, and I think that might be the antithesis to humility, in the sense that you do some pretty great things. You've taken some large risks, but we don't necessarily define them as risks. It's more tied to purpose, and you
And it,
kind of chase down purpose without the sense of risks, because it's like the thing that I don't know, keeps you up and then wakes you up. It drives you. Where someone else, can you imagine how many people would want to do what you're doing, but they don't want to leave the safety of their 9 to 5? You don't think that you wouldn't? It's interesting how you wouldn't classify or quantify that as risky.
yeah, it was more like it felt like a necessity, right? And then doing the scholarships again, a necessity. I think also I was so thrown. Like we did a kind of assessment. Marketing News Canada was about to launch an award show, Marketing Hall of Fame, and so we're like, well, let's assess all the other award shows that are out there in Canada for marketing. And at the time, this is just 2 years ago. So this is 2 years ago. There was not one jury member who, like every single jury member was white and male. There was zero diversity in any of the juries. And I think for me, I was also like, man, this is an industry I belong to. I was like, I thought we were super like inclusive and fun and like creatives, but I was like, man, our industry is just as kind of bad as any other. And so I think that was also whether it was starting the award show and putting more energy into the Marketing News Canada work. And then also it drove us to be like, hey, we need to get some more diversity here. And so I guess probably another kind of distant mentor would be another Vancouverite out of here named Ryan Reynolds, who was known for his acting, but more importantly, does a lot of advertising and owns an ad company called Maximum Effort. But he, in his latest Netflix film, made a deal with Netflix where they would focus on getting diverse talent behind the camera for that film. And then he launched a project recently called Creative Ladder to get diverse voices into advertising, focusing on the United States. And so watching what they're doing and kind of getting that affirmation that what we're doing is not crazy. And so doing that in Canada has been a huge focus for us to continue to get diverse voices into marketing, because marketing is amazing and everyone deserves to go into marketing if they have that chance.
If they have that chance. And I think chance comes from exposure. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have people in your life that think that you think that they have a penchant for business, but a flair for the creative, this could be a place where that young person or that up and coming or someone who needs a mid-career change can really thrive. Hey, Darren, I know that you have something else coming up, and I don't want to keep you from that, but what are some last thoughts that you'd want our audience to know that we didn't really get into or cover off? Blank sky for you, buddy.
Yeah, I just want to bring this up again, Paul being on the call here, and even Erica from an accountant's perspective and kind of the work that you're doing.
As a matter of fact, I just want to see if they're still here. Paul, Erica, if you're good, you can turn your cameras on and join the conversation. Yeah.
So every kind of accountant, bookkeeper across Canada got a postcard from the federal government. Again, a lot of people have concerns or criticisms against federal government, but I don't know a lot about them except for the CDAP program is unreal. And so Paul's company just recently let people know about it. Any bookkeeper accountant who uses that amazing accounting program probably got a notification as well. But what's so neat about the program for businesses that have 500K in revenue or more at one point in the last 3 years, they have a program called Boost Your Business. And so actually, we've been doing webinars all across Canada about this, but the 3 things about it is, first of all, you get $15,000 to create a really healthy marketing plan, strategy, online presence, kind of boost. It looks at your competitors. It's like the most amazing thing covered by the feds. And then they give you $7,300 to hire a youth, 18 to 30, which again, a lot of people are hiring amazing Indigenous youth right across the country for that through Magnet. And then the third piece is you get an interest-free loan up to 100K for 6 years. But the first 2 portions, which I really, really love, is that the feds were like, okay, I want you to stop, collaborate, and listen. So it's an amazing thing. So for you, whether it's a month or 2 months, you can use that 15 grand to come up with like an online presence strategy, or maybe you want to do IT or cybersecurity with it. But we've been seeing it month after month. We've been helping anywhere from 5 to 10 businesses come up with that strategy. And for the first time, they're able to take a breath, step back, look at their competitors, and get that really competitive advantage. And so we're one of the only Indigenous we're called digital advisors in the marketplace right now. So it's been really cool, especially helping Indigenous business owners get that competitive advantage, get that supercharged, get that kind of vantage point that they normally wouldn't. And then on top of it, get $7,300 to hire youth. And so again, thank you, RBC, Paul, for letting people know about it. Because again, it's one of these secrets almost. Because again, 2 things about the feds is like, A, they keep most of the grant stuff quite secretive, it seems like. And then secondly, it's very difficult to get. So A, people like Paul are getting the word out. And secondly, it takes 25 minutes to apply. And because the feds were like, let's make it as easy as possible. So you literally log in with your GC key or your bank, fill out a survey. They don't, it's not an actual application, it's a survey. And then you're approved immediately for all those tranches of funds. So I'm very excited about that. And I just really hope businesses take advantage of it and really leverage it to give us a competitive advantage as Canadian businesses.
Hey, Darren, thank you so much for being here with us today. Darian, I know you got to get out of here. Thanks so much for joining us today. Paul, RBC, thank you for what you continue to do. And Erica, thank you for everything that you're doing at Xero for the small business community in Canada. Now, the SME Expo 2023 is coming up. Paul, I know our RBC is going to be there. Erica, I know that I know for sure that Xero is going to be there. It's coming up in the spring of 2023. It's SMEexpo.ca. That's your opportunity to meet some giants in the Canadian marketplace and space to figure out how you can get past any roadblocks that you're experiencing. The theme is going to be resilience, recovery, and you're going to hear from a ton of business owners who have reinvented what they do to get to the other side of their prosperous dream. And then, of course, we have in the spring also the Small Business Awards to celebrate all the hard work that you business owners have done in 2022. It's to recognize your contributions to the Canadian economy, and we want to provide support and recognition to you. Visit smeawards.ca. Again, that's smeawards.ca to apply for your business to be recognized. And simply, it's true what they always say. It's just an honor to be nominated, but get your name in that ring. And of course, right now, we're rolling out a series brought to you by Xero Accounting Tax Law Advisory. It's the Entrepreneurial Resilience Series. Folks, everyone is bouncing back. And if you're struggling to bounce back, hear these 10 amazing stories brought to you by Xero Accounting Tax Law Advisory. If you visit smallbusinesstalks.ca, you'll see all of the episodes there. Hear how other people are doing it will probably inspire you as well to get to the other side again of your dream. Again, if you visit smallbusinesstalks.ca. Once again, want to thank our partners, RBC, Paul, thanks for joining us, our exclusive shipping partner, UPS, and Xero for making events like today, hosting Darian, possible. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.